What's up, guys? Take 3. Coach Ricky coming at you from North County Fitness and Performance. Education-based video today. I wanted to talk about the concepts of periodization, basically broken down into 3 sections: macro, meso, micro cycles. In short, looking at your training as a whole, looking at your training as a season, and then looking at about a week to a couple days long of either like a deload, maybe you got injured, maybe you took a vacation. Things happen. It's not always a linear line to success. But periodization. In this periodization, I'll break down a couple of evidence-based guidelines for hypertrophy. Granted, not everyone's goal is hypertrophy, but most people train for at least a little bit of strength or aesthetic, which does require a little bit of muscle building. So these are some of or all of our variables that we can adjust here to fit the periodization, fit the goal, and fit the human that is trying to obviously better themselves in the gym or even at home. So I'm gonna use myself as an example here. End of 2022, I had a shoulder reconstruction that the doctor said like a fast recovery would be a year, year and a half. It's been almost 2 years now, and I would say confidently that my real training periodization didn't even start until probably about 6 months after surgery. If you're familiar with the NASM OPT model, right, we're looking at mobility, stability, muscular endurance, strength, and then power as the hierarchy there. Granted, there's no pop quiz on that, but a lot of times people skip over the stability and muscular endurance and go right to the power when they're already in a compromised position, either working a desk job, coming off of an injury, or just having zero exercise experience in general. And that's where a lot of those joints, muscles, tendons, ligaments that need that stability or need that muscular endurance to be able to perform at a higher level aren't necessarily used to firing and end up giving out, unfortunately. So this is how we stay safe. This is how we educate you to really take charge of your training and manage your gas tank. So again, that first 6 months, I didn't do too much. The next 6 months prior or after that were more stability and more muscular endurance based. And then in turn, I did build a little bit of muscle. How I did that, ton of frequency, right? A lot of times we work desk jobs, we drive, we text, we're always in this compromised position. It's like upper cross where the pecs and the delts, we're always here. And then we try to do things here, like try to play pickleball, we try to play with our kids. And as time goes on, that's just gonna put more kinks in the chain and eventually creep into your back, your hips. There's a lot of other ways that can manifest itself. So frequency and exercise selection, those would be the 2, in my opinion, most important variables for hypertrophy. And when it comes to frequency, like I just talked about the pushing, I tend to pull more than I push, at least with the upper body, right? Just look what my shoulders do when I perform a row movement, whether it's a mid row, whether it's a lat pull, even if it's an upright row, my shoulder blades have to retract, depress slightly. Granted, this is a very anatomical neutral position, but in a perfect world, you guys can see how the bones move. Muscles move bones. Anybody who says corrective exercise doesn't work, I don't like them, because how do you think people got in this position anyways, right? They were in a compromised position X amount of time to the point where they ended up staying there because their fascial lines just get cemented there. So a couple ways to work out of that: corrective exercise, right? Mobilize, stabilize, try to work the range of motions that you have until they get better and better, until A, pain-free, range of motions increased, performance has gotten better, and you're happy. That's what we want. So after we have established balance through frequency and exercise selection, volume, that'd probably be my number 2/3 here. Volume, you have to tap into a stimulus, right, to where you do build muscle, you do change the range of motion of those fascial lines, but not so much to the point where we grind away tendons, ligaments, bones, and cause injury. So find that balance. And it's hard because coaches are going to push you. They're meant to push you. But we're not meant to push you to the point of pain and discomfort and pushing to the point of injury. So if you don't have a coach, be very cognizant of your mind-muscle connection. If you do have a coach, make sure they're keeping you safe. Exercise order, also very important there as far as order of operations. So a lot of times people think the big three, bench, squat, deadlift, they want to come in, they just want to lift and get out of there. That's fine. Most people that do that will develop some sort of injury in their lifetime. Not to say that they won't develop an injury by being a little more, I'm not going to say smart, different with their approach as far as their exercise order. But I have been 29. I've been in a weight room, weightlifting environment since I was 13. So I was at 16 years, so more time than I've been alive essentially, or whatever, you get what I mean. I've bench pressed with dumbbells, barbells, banded chains, the works. In my opinion, this position for me, being a young guy who played video games growing up, played football, weightlifted, I was already so tight here that bench pressing for me put me in a more vulnerable position. Not to say that that was the cause of the dislocation, but it altered my muscles so much that when I did have to use these muscles, they're not used to working in this range. It was very uncomfortable. Unfortunately, I ended up with a dislocation. Years ago, resulted in surgery, and now we're here. So what I do for my push days, even though I'm pushing, I do face pulls, external shoulder rotations, things to really light up the upper posterior chain in the back, right? With the shoulder blade movement, but also the stability here, right? A lot of times people lose their bench press because they lose the stability in the shoulder blades and the lats, and everything flares. Everything transfers to the neck, the shoulders. Pec tears happen because too much stress on the pecs, not as much stability coming from behind. That's where things get blown out. Granted, going off on a little bit of a tangent, but that's how important the balance of the exercise selection paired with how frequently you do it, paired with the order, can totally change how often you're here versus how often you're here. And ultimately, that's what's going to dictate not only your posture, but taking away any aches, pains, owies, boo-boos that you get in those joints. So I'm not going to say these are not important, but these are the forgotten ones down here. Effort. Huge one is tempo, load, and rest periods. So of course, right, if you have 3 sets of 10 squat program, and you do 3 sets of 10, and at your 30th rep, the last one, you're like, psh, I could have done 100. Well, be honest with yourself, right? Just because it's written on the program doesn't mean just do it, right? If you're exerting that effort and you're like, 1 to 10, that was like a 2, either slow your reps down, add weight, right? That'd be load and tempo right there. And that's a super easy way that you can instantly increase the intensity of that workout without the impact of any excessive force on the joints. Tempo, I kind of just said it. I would take away the external load, and sure, goblet squat with weight, boom, boom, that's fine. But I can pretty much get a similar stress and stimulus by controlling a 4-second eccentric, baking in this position in a 1-2 on the isometric, because this is really where the muscles are actually contracting. And then right here, I kind of just wait. That's the test for how strong you are, but to actually build, we will build the most muscle and strength through the eccentric and isometric. The up is more of like a test of how strong we actually are. Then of course, load, right? If you can't do it unloaded, don't do it loaded. That's a huge, easy way to tell, should I add weight? If you can't body weight squat, do not add weight. Sometimes people feel, oh, in a squat, when I put weight on it, it helps me into a position. Work on your range of motion on your own. Your active range of motion, that'd be more passive, and that's fine. But in a perfect world, 50 years from now playing with grandkids, you want to be able to do that on your own. You don't want somebody to have to push you down to get back up, right? So our final variable here is our rest period. The easiest way that I like to explain it is almost like muscle fibers, right? Like a sprinter versus a marathon runner, right? Rest periods, typically, if we want to type in or tap into those type 1 muscle fibers, rest periods tend to be a little shorter, tend to be a lot more explosive. Go, 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 rest, go, 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 rest. Things like kettlebell swings, things like thrusters, burpees, squat jumps, sprinting. Now, some people may not be able to perform such high intense exercises, and that's where like slowing down movements as far as the tempo and either increasing or decreasing rest periods can pretty much tap into a similar stimulus without, again, the impact or the over impact of excessive load. I'm trying to think of an example there. Easy one is running, right? So rest periods, right? We can sprint, rest 10 seconds, sprint, rest 10 seconds. And you could probably only get away with doing that for maybe 10, 15 minutes. I'd be shocked if anybody could all out effort do 10 on, 10 off for more than 10 minutes. Now, if you're more of a 200 to maybe even mile or a 1600 mile runner, you might look at rest 3 minutes. Let the body fully recover. Let the red blood cells replace. Let everything kind of come back into homeostasis. You're not redlining. You're coming back down like a 5 out of 10 and then go again. That way it's a lot more manageable. You'll get more out of your training that way and way less risk for injury. Because a lot of times, especially in a class environment, it's go. And if I'm fresh off the couch and I see somebody who's been a member here for 5-6 years, I'm gonna think, oh yeah, I'm as strong as them, or that person's older than me, I should be able to do this. I've seen it, I've done it. You don't want to compare yourself to other people, especially if you're fresh off the couch. So if you are having trouble with either results, injuries, limitations, or just straight up gas tank management, think of your training as a whole in periodization. Are you taking proper rest times? Are you doing the right exercises? How frequently are you doing them if they are the right exercises? How frequently are you possibly doing the wrong exercises that are making things potentially worse? Again, don't want to put that energy out there, but these are questions that we should be asking ourselves. Of course, exercise order, volume, effort, tempo, load, and rest period. Got a pretty good explanation on those, but every single one of these, you change one, that's going to change the entire stimulus of the workout, whether it's for muscle building or if it's that phase 1 stabilization into a power-based athletic training program. So there's definitely a method to the madness, no matter what the goal is, but these are kind of some quick plug and plays that you guys can take and play with on your own. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, shoot me a call, text, DM, come see me at North County Fitness and Performance. Let's go.